If I'd lived in previous generations, I'm not just an entrepreneur or a creator, I'm a conqueror. Like, I was meant to conquer new lands and take their women. But that's what I was born to do. I was just born in the wrong era.
Saw one of your videos, you're making $65,000 a month.
Yeah.
Is that true?
We just did 110, month just gone, yeah. So we did 65, 110, trying to hit 200 this month. Spending all your money and having absolutely nothing for 2 years. And then you learn the one thing from the one person, the right connection in the right place that makes you a millionaire in that year. And you could have saved up all those years and had, I don't know, 50 grand by the time you get here.
Let's kick off.
Time to rock and roll.
Mr. CEO of Testosterone, kick this
name.
off. So I want to start with some of the mental side of things. So I think that's quite interesting because for someone who's like big test, Billy big bollocks, you always bring it back to like what's actually happening under the hood. Why do you have to, kind of come around to that thinking? Like, why do you want to try to fix your mind in that regard?
I think without the mindset, you have absolutely nothing. And I learnt that when I was young, because I went down a path of not looking after my own mental health and not being the person I wanted to be. So through that journey, I ended up, I have quite an addictive personality, which if you're similar to me, I don't know if you are.
I am, for sure, man.
Then you'll understand, like, you can either be really, really good at and excel in things, or you can let your addictions take you down a darker path. And when I was younger, I didn't really know the difference. I didn't know where the fulfillment was going to come from. I thought fulfillment could be found in pleasure. So I fully explored that and went down it. But I didn't realize, actually, not many people talk about it, the effect that drugs and alcohol have on your mental health, like your stability as a person. So I got to a point where my mental stability was awful. And I'd gone from someone who was very confident as a kid and an athlete to sort of 17, 18 years old, to going to university, being 20, 21, and not being able to sort of leave my bedroom on certain days without having a drink first, or I couldn't go and see someone. I'd start having panic attacks, which I'd never had in my life before. And that really brought me round to the fact that I could now no longer do anything, because even if I looked good or I had a good body, I could not even go out and see people anymore because I'd destroyed my own mental health. So the mind is so important and so fragile, not to be messed with lightly with substances. And I learned that the hard way, and then sort of had the journey of trying to recover that. And that kind of starts, I think, with physical prowess. It's the easiest thing to focus on when your mind is screwed up. So if you're in a bad place at the moment and you get those dark thoughts and you're down the path of addiction, or you drink too much and you party too much and you're sort of running away from things, the easiest thing to do is get into your fitness, your sport. I signed up for a fight. That's what led me away from it. I had an MMA fight, which I was really scared to do. I had done some boxing before, but MMA just seemed different to me. It seemed a lot more dangerous. So I wanted to be prepared for that, and that scared me enough to give up my bad habits. And I started to sweat it out. I think you sweat out the demons. That happens over time. You sweat out the demons. You get these workouts in. You start to have a bit of respect for yourself, a bit of respect for what you're doing. You're turning up on time. Other people rely on you. Your coach is there. You start to build your mind back up. And for me, that all flourished through that fight camp, and then I went in and won that fight, which is such a massive confidence boost that it eradicated my anxiety. And obviously there's ebbs and flows, and you go backwards and forwards with these things. It's a continual journey. So the more successful, more money you make, the more the party calls you again.
100%.
Different parties, new parties, more fun, more girls. So for me, it's still a continual journey. But I think that's where it starts, with physical prowess, becoming a master of your body, and the mind will follow. Going into those sort of dark places, understanding that you can do things you didn't think you could do, pushing through boundaries, pushing through limits. That's what really evolved my mind and gave me self-respect back.
100%, man.
And then I feel like there's a lot of limiting beliefs you pick up on your journey, whoever you are, whether that be something that your parents said to you in the past or something you believe about yourself from your friend group. So I then had limiting beliefs that I had to push through. And I think you do that by setting yourself very, very small goals. So I would pull everything back if I was getting overwhelmed and set myself 3 small goals for the day, which was maybe to make 1 video, film a video, go to the gym, eat well. And you start to rack up wins, and you start to prove to yourself, stop lying to yourself, because a lot of us do that. We lie to ourselves every day. and we say we're going to do something. We say, Jack, yeah, tomorrow you're going gym 6 a.m. and then you go at 8 a.m. And that doesn't seem like a big deal, especially if you're an entrepreneur. It doesn't seem like a big deal because you manage your own time. But it wears away at you when you lie to yourself, because you then can't believe anything you're going to say. So you have to become a man of your word with yourself. And that helps build that confidence. And then you have the confidence to execute on the things you actually want to do in your life.
Just continually getting better. That's the whole plan. But it's funny that fitness goes back to everything, because it tells you exactly where you're at. Your heart health, your physical health, how you look, how you feel, how you interact with people, from like training, whatever yours is like fucking physical, mine was like bodybuilding. That will always tell you like where you're at, nearly mentally to some degree.
Yeah.
Now, of course, you can push it too far and be like super shredded, or like a girl that's like super anorexic, and as a result, that goes too far. But it's like a good barometer. And that gives you the confidence, man, to do other shit. Like I remember before, like I left my job, we were discussing earlier, I was like, fuck, I don't know, can I do this? But then I realized then that I competed before. I'd gone through these like crazy diets. I'd done other things. I've done, multiple different ventures. And that gives you the confidence. That is what confidence is, you know what I mean? Instead of just like talking random shit on the internet.
100%. It has to come from somewhere. And it's more for you. If I leave myself away, if I lead myself away from the things that I know keep me grounded, it's just for my own sake. Otherwise I can't function properly. I can't perform at my best without being grounded in something. And that's what we do in 10K Accelerator. This sort of led through to me making what is currently called the 10K Accelerator, which is my course at the moment, which I know you were sort of interested in. And that, when looking back on my life and how it's changed over the past 4 or 5 years, there's 3 major facets to that. And it starts with physical mastery, then mental mastery, getting control of your mind, the way that you feel, the things that you do, not lying to yourself. And then I learned the skill of sales, which is
Everything.
It's everything in life. If you can't, well, one thing I will say is everyone sells. So if you've gone to a restaurant before and you're with your girlfriend, she wants to go to one restaurant and you want to go to another, and you end up convincing her to come to your restaurant, then you've sold. Like, sales isn't some mysterious dark art. It's something that we all do every single day. And the better you get at it, the better your life becomes. So I'm a person now, having done sales for many years, that I nearly always get what I want. And my life goes down the channels I want it to go down, even with my friends, girls, anything like that, because I know how to influence and persuade people. And that was a key to basically unlocking a lot of things in my life, especially around money, getting money. You need to know how to influence and persuade other people, whether that's influence and persuading your way into a job or making your own business and selling a product. So we take people from the physical mastery, sales mastery, and then my most recent venture has been the branch out into personal branding and understanding how getting on the internet and marketing yourself a certain way and giving your views and opinions on a regular basis can build a business around you as a person.
That's what's scalable, man, isn't it?
That's been the lucrative one so far, but only because I'd already mastered the first 2.
You mentioned before about how to win friends and influence people.
Yeah.
And I was a big influence on you. And I'll tell you a funny story. So I was working in London. I was working in like an investment bank, like a kind of second-tier investment bank, with my mate, Danny, who was pretty chill, pretty relaxed. He wasn't like that really into the job. But he always read that book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And he always said that everything he did in his job, he'd bring that out. Like he would, befriend like this person, not in a malicious way, but just in like taking a genuine interest in them. And as a result, everyone loved him. All the managers loved him. All his co-workers loved him. And at the time, I had a chip on my shoulder and I was like, don't need that shit. And me, who was like, I'll just deliver more, ended up, not having the same impact, because it's not always about like how much you deliver. It's about like how you make people feel, how you interact with people. And it wasn't until about 2 years later where I read the book and I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
Everything made sense at that point, because that's the element of sales whereby it's beyond what you deliver. It depends what your offer is. It's about how you actually connect to people.
Yeah.
How has it helped you?
It's helped me massively. I think what you're saying right there is one of the most important fundamentals to life, which can be forgotten. And I'm a big Tate fan, yeah?
So,
but this is one of the things about Tate that I maybe don't agree with 100%. Even though I watch a lot of his content, I think he says a lot of great stuff. It's like Tate comes across very different on camera to how he is in person, apparently, from what I've heard. And the person that he is with other people that people love, the reason why people support him, even after allegations and things like that, is because he's very much like the win friends and influence way of doing things. He knows how to speak to people and treat people kindly. I think a lot of guys will see his abrasive side, which is done for the camera, for views, for clicks. And even I picked a bit of this up, and I started being a little bit more like that, a little bit more abrasive in my day-to-day life. And I can guarantee you, it doesn't help you half as much as being the friendly, optimistic guy all the time. Like a lot of people think, especially in the UK, where we're from, that you need to be like realistic, that you can't be super optimistic and positive all the time. People don't like it. And just having that in your life, being super friendly to people, making people and telling people how you feel about them, and telling them when they're good at something will change your life forever.
100%, man. And that's why I love Americans, man, because Americans are behind that. All my clients are Americans. The majority of my guests are Americans because they see a young, ambitious person and they're like, fuck it, let's get behind them. He's like a small version of me or whatever. And then they want to actually help you. And then you can help them. And it's like you work together. Whereas I do feel that in fucking like UK Irish culture that it's like you want to pull people down or you don't want to push people up. And you know, a good litmus test on that. I guarantee you if you went through your latest photos on Instagram, check who liked them. I guarantee you none of your original friends liked them.
I think a few of mine do because I've got some pretty close original friends.
But I mean the bigger group.
But the bigger group, you're 100% right. Yeah, you're 100% right. And that's very, very common. But I understand, for me, I can't get angry about that either anymore because I understand where it comes from. It comes from a place of being, not feeling like you're fulfilling what you're meant to do. And I understand I'm the worst version of myself when I'm not on my path and doing the best of my abilities. I become a nastier person because I'm angry at myself, because I'm letting myself down. So if you find yourself looking at other people and hating their lives, your problem is always within. It's not with someone else, and it never will be. There's a great book, Extreme Ownership. Have you read that? Jocko Willink. Just all about owning everything in your life, which is the number one step. As long as you've got excuses for why someone else is the problem, you're never going to fix the thing that really matters. But then you become free when you decide that everything's controlled by you. Every situation that you have throughout the day, how are you going to respond to it? And I check myself on this very, very regularly for how did I respond in that situation? How do I feel afterwards? Do I like how I was in that certain aspect of my life? Could I have done that any better, from the taxi driver to the waiter, waitress, meeting friends? How do you become the best version of yourself? How do you walk into other people's lives? One of my favorite things to do is walk into somebody's life and brighten their day when you see them, and they come away refreshed from your presence because you didn't heap your problems or anything you've got inside on you. You just were the best version of you. You gave them some love and some compassion. You complimented them. And even if they were miserable or grumpy, a waiter, waitress, and you did your best in the situation and you leave. And that has a big spider web effect throughout your whole life. If you do that to every person you meet and then someone else meets someone, you never know where opportunities are going to come from. So someone meets someone else and they've got an opportunity for you there, but you're a bit nasty to them when you last saw them, or your ego's big and you're a bit egotistical and you didn't want to speak to them, and they have a chance to say your name to someone else, but they don't say it. You don't realize how often that's happening if you're going through life that way. But then on the flip side of that, if you're so kind and super nice to everybody that you meet, the best that you can be, whilst keeping respect for yourself, obviously.
Not licking someone's
balls. Not being a kiss ass or anything like that. Then the same happens, and suddenly opportunities start flying out of everywhere.
100%, man. So you've met some like crazy people over the last couple of months. Like you were boxing with Iman, met Justin as well, did a few other kind of big podcasts. What do you think one of the kind of main reasons was for how you build that ridiculous network?
It's still a bit bewildering to me as well. It's still strange to me that I meet these people.
Because your period is so short, you know? And like even like, you know, from their perspective, even though you're huge now at this stage, they might think, oh, like he's just new, you know, that kind of effect, you know, someone who's burst on the scene. But like, it's obviously a combination of exactly what you're just saying for the last 20 minutes in terms of your value system and helping people and being accommodating and being kind and being genuine. You know,
I think so, and also for me, I do that online, which is I was telling you about before. So the way I met Justin is because when I see somebody's story and they could be anyone and I like it, I will tell them I like it, and I'll tell them why, a genuine reason, and I'll message them. And me and Justin ended up having a communication through Instagram, just as really as me as a fan, basically, at the start. I just went from watching Justin to suddenly having my own channel, and then being like, okay, I'll reach out to Justin, because I always sort of compliment his stories and stuff, and he sometimes replies, and I'll ask him if he wants to do a stream, because I think my audience will like his stuff. And I just put the word out there, and then we ended up, he's obviously he can look through his messages, be like, oh, this guy's he's not like a snake or anything, because he's been a fan for a while. And it made it very easy to connect with Justin. But for me, it still blew my mind. And I don't know if you've watched that stream, but if anyone goes back and watched the stream with Justin, I was very, very nervous. I'm very new to this as well, so just trying to do my best in those sorts of things, getting a little bit more used to it now. And then Iman, I put out a video of me fighting my MMA fight on YouTube, and Iman took the link and sent it back to me on Instagram and put underneath like, this is awesome.
And you were never talking before?
And I'd never spoken to Iman before.
so he sends you a DM?
He sent me a DM.
You must have thought it was fake, man.
Saying that he liked his stuff. And I was like, and I'd watched Iman.
Yeah.
I'd watched his stuff because I think his content's amazing. And he's been around for like 8 years in the game. And obviously I know Hamza. So I'd heard about Iman through Hamza. And I don't know whether maybe Iman had seen me on Hamza's stuff, because I was in a few Hamza videos and Hamza was on my channel. So probably knew that I was speaking to Hamza. But then we just end up chatting. And the thing I did with Iman was, he's probably the person I admire most in business out of anyone, because he's a year younger than me. He's 23 years old. The guy's like...
It's like a glitch in the system.
It's unbelievable. And to see it all documented over 8 years, what he's done is nothing short of just unbelievable. So I would message him and ask for advice, because I just said to him, look, you're probably the person I admire most who's anywhere near my age that I would ask for advice from. And I don't normally ask for advice from too many people. If you have the time, would you mind answering a couple of these questions for me? And I sent him over some questions about YouTube and about my business as a whole and investments. And Iman sent me back like 15 minutes worth of voice notes of mentoring on how to basically blow my channel up, how to do stuff inside my business. And he basically said to me, look, I give out advice to guys a lot when I see potential in them, but no one ever takes my advice. People don't take my advice. So I'm interested to see what you do with this. And I just made sure that I executed on absolutely everything that Iman told me. And when I'd executed on it and it had worked, I sent him proof, like a receipt, like, thanks, boss, this has worked. Business has gone from this to this. Views have gone from this to this. It's working. And just nurtured the relationship really with him. Because I feel like, and I mentor a few people now, when you give them advice, they take it and it changes their lives. It feels good for you when they say that back. So I wanted to make sure he knew that. And then I just ended up being in Dubai and asked if he wanted to train together. And he sent the Rolls Royce to pick me up from my hotel. So I got picked up in the Rolls and taken to do some boxing with him at his house. And that was just crazy, really crazy. But we had a great session. He'll be a hell of a boxer. He will be, because you can see what he's done in business and content. He's now putting that same effort into boxing, martial arts. So you can guarantee he's going to be very, very good. And yeah, we just hung out, had a little chat afterwards on his by the sea and on the Palm in Dubai, and then I went off and then went home. But it was awesome to meet him.
Man, onto some many great things. I want to ask you about that business side of it. So one of your videos that you're making $65,000 a month.
Yeah.
Is that true?
We just did 110. Month just gone, yeah. So we did 65, 110, trying to hit 200 this month.
How?
$1,000. Well, there's a few different things. So we had price increases inside of our courses. I knew I was underpricing inside of a network, but when you start a network, so my network is called New Elite. It's for 6-7 figure entrepreneurs. And when you start a network, you don't be in a network with like 3 people. So we had a lower price point for entry, and we were doing lifetime passes. And I knew the value on these was just unbelievable. But I wanted to grow a decent group of guys that I'd vetted and spoken to that gave us the backbone of our network around the world. So we got up to about 150 members that way. And then we increased our prices. So we doubled our price, and then that gave us our $65,000 month was our double price, and then we doubled again our price again coming into last month. And we also released a new product, which is my lower ticket, the 10K accelerator, because a lot of guys that don't have our network's $5,000 a year. A lot of guys, they don't have that when they're starting out. And if they don't have that disposable, they're probably not right for the network, because we want to meet guys that are on a similar level. They want to hang out around the world. They can fly certain places and help each other get from 10 to 100K and beyond, basically, is the network. So then I built the 10K accelerator, which is what I talked about earlier. And that is, we priced that 500 pounds.
Man, that is nothing.
Which is nothing, but that was on a pre-sale. So we wanted to do a pre-sale. We did that last month, and we ended up doing about $60,000 on the pre-sale.
And do you have a lot of that traffic coming from YouTube, or do you go from like an email list?
I'll give you my exact strategy, actually, for how I run my business. So a lot of the original traffic comes from YouTube, because my videos get great exposure, but I link them all to my Instagram. So I focus on sending people from watching YouTube videos, and they can click the links to buy things from me and look into my products, and that's fine. But most of them will end up following my Insta, and Insta's where the magic happens, because they see my daily stories, they get to know and trust me more. And then I link my products and calls to action inside of my stories. Mm-hmm. So the majority of our sales business comes from that. That's how we run things. And then, just through price increases inside of our courses has massively increased our profit and revenue. And then releasing a new course that did really well. The price for that now will be £999, and then $2K after you've made your first 10K month. Mm. So it's $3K course. You pay $999 to get in. You pay the other $2K only after you've hit your first 10K month in an online sales job or using the teachings from the business.
You mentioned before on that you're focusing on like sales, tech sales, and helping people tech sales, or do like high ticket sales. Question around that is, do you think that because you're doing sales for other people, you're not building leverage for yourself?
No, I think when you do sales for other people, you need to hone the craft first. And a lot of guys just need cash. They're not in a position to have their own product. They're not in a position to know what they want to do. So whilst you're figuring all of that out, and this is what I did, I was like, I don't know what I want to do, so I'll do sales because I know I can make good money on it, and I keep the skill for life. So when I do know what I want to do, then I can leverage it inside of my own business. So that's what we recommend in 10K Accelerator, is sort out your mind and body, make sure that's sorted, because without that, you've got nothing. Then figure out sales, start working for someone else, hit 10K a month, get some cash behind you, then decide where do you want to live around the world. Start building that lifestyle that you actually want, and that will hopefully drive you further towards a purpose. Once you've got a bit of money and security, you get your purpose, and then you've got the tools to build a personal brand and start selling your own product. Mm-hmm. So I think you don't want to be selling, well, some people do, but most of us don't want to be selling somebody else's stuff the rest of our lives. Mm-hmm. But I certainly don't think there's anything wrong with starting there.
100%.
Is you got to learn the trade,
and you get the skill that way, because the biggest challenge people have is like in the content space is they kind of do it backwards. I think to some degree I kind of did it backwards as well. Like I built like the brand, the audience to a small scale, and then it's like, okay, what do you do with it, But having that skill of selling has helped so much. And for me, it was my podcast. Like I was bringing people onto my podcast, and that's in its own right an art of selling. When you're pitching fucking these big dudes, you need to be able to get your message across, convince their world, bring them closer to your world, So understanding those nuances became so much easier then when I started the agency. But obviously, still from a sales perspective, I'm still obviously like, there's obviously like nuances that you're always getting better. Yeah. You're always getting better, you know what
always.
I mean? But that's the whole point. Like the whole point is not to say I'm fucking great at it,
Yeah, and Alex Hormozi goes through an interesting point that if your product is good enough, you won't need to market or sell. So first you become good at sales and you sell a product for somebody else, you get cash that way. Then you figure out marketing and you're able to sell a product without sales, really. So a lot of time we don't have to do direct sales or any phone calls to close people into the new elite or make them join the 10K Accelerator, because
that's because your videos.
The videos, the marketing is good. They're already sold on it. They trust you. They know they're going to get a good product delivered. There's plenty of testimonials. They trust it. So the sales part becomes less important inside of my business to somebody, for example, that's selling a product people don't really want, but they maybe need to buy. in which you need a lot more sales power.
Yep.
But Hormozi said, if you make a product that's good enough, then both of those two disappear, because the product just sells itself, and you don't need marketing or sales, because every person that buys your product is so blown away by it. 5 more people join through them, and it's a never-ending spider web. So that's what we're currently focusing on inside a New Elite and 10K Accelerator. How do we make this such mind-blowing value? How do we change someone's life so much that they can't help but talk to fucking 10 people about it and get them to join? And if you focus all your time and energy on that, these two are very expensive. Sales and marketing can be very expensive ways of getting new customers.
And inefficient, man.
And inefficient.
Man, sales is so inefficient.
Yeah.
If I'm fucking messaging 100 people a week and I book a couple of calls, I'm just wasted fucking all their time.
Exactly.
You know?
So you want people coming to you wanting to sign up there and then. I want this, I need this, I've seen it from my friend, I want to be in there. So that's what we're currently focusing on. I think any entrepreneur should focus on. Obviously, you need sales and marketing at the start, get cash flow in, but always have someone working on that product. And I think as the head, for me, as the head of the company, that's my job. Product development, figuring out how do we change more lives, how do we impact people more. That's so important to me.
When I was working in like a startup world, a big aspect that we'd focus on is virality. So how do we make like this product like viral? So a combination of like, if your product has a way to share screenshots or share successes or different aspects of this, so that like the spider web is just continuously growing. And that's what it's all about. It's adding in that element of virality, which is like one of your dudes from New Elite is now building this huge fucking empire, and you were the backbone of it. So that's a big thing that I've been focused on. My agency is like, we build these podcasts and they look so fucking good that their friends message them being like, how did you do that? And it's like, this random dude over in Asia did it.
Nice.
That's the element of virality, you know? But of course that takes time to get to that stage, you know? So you're obviously like a super fit dude, healthy dude, always on point. Want to get your thoughts on like what people can do who, you know, not fit, not healthy, watching video games, jerking off 8 times a day. Like, how do you turn around that lifestyle? And it could be environment based as well when you're quite young.
I've been in that. I've not been in the video games place, but I've certainly been in places where you feel so like you've let it go so much that it's hard to get back, or it's hard to even start. So you feel completely fucking overwhelmed. And I can tell you right now, the only way to get through that is just if you're listening to this now and you're in that position of feeling disappointed in yourself, you're not at the place you want to be, you're massively overweight, or you're playing video games, you're super fucked up in your life. Just do one small thing right now. What's one thing you can do? If you're eating cookies, stop eating the cookies. Put them away. Chuck them in the bin. Go downstairs, chuck all the cookies in the bin. And you just start one very small step at a time and start to build up momentum. And that just starts today. And I don't want you to worry about the end result. Just worry about one win today. So the one win for the day was that you didn't eat all the cookies. You threw half of them in the bin. Or you put down your drink, you stopped drinking, you stop smoking, all that sort of stuff. So you just start very, very small when you're in that backed up position, because I think a lot of guys that have never been into the gym, they are super scared to do that, and they feel like it's such a long way to go that they don't ever get started. So you just start super small. Maybe your win is you type in where the actual gym is near your house. Type it in, make an appointment to go there or buy a membership, and that's your first win. You don't even think about going to the gym yet and actually working out. Go and buy some new clothes for the gym, that sort of stuff. Start super small. You'll start to get some momentum. And then you just need to keep it super simple. Fitness and nutrition is very, very simple. It's massively overcomplicated by people who want to market it to you and overcomplicate the fuck out of it to you so that they can sell you something that seems new when the concepts are just so simple, it's unbelievable. You just lift heavy things, they get heavier and you get stronger. That's the fundamentals, and do that across the key muscle groups. So if you squat, deadlift, bent over row, chest press, weighted pull-ups, dips, you're pretty much covered. I think I said squats in there. But yeah, you just want to make sure that you've got a super simple plan, something that you can start on, and that you are actually tracking your weights inside of your workout. So you could start with just 3 days a week, full body, going in the gym, doing a couple of sets. It's going to be very hard for you if you've not gone to the gym before. You've got to understand there's going to be a lot of pain, DOMS, we call it delayed onset of muscle soreness. You're going to feel sore for the few days after. Start to enjoy that pain and know that you've worked out hard. But just take it easy, take it nice and light, put your weights in, do a few exercises, go home, eat steak, eat eggs, eat rice. That's about literally all you need. You can add some fruit in there, some honey, drink black coffee, chicken breast if you don't like eating steak. They're basically the staples of my diet. I don't really eat that many vegetables. I eat mostly steak, eggs, and rice for my carb. And that's literally all that I do every single day. Variety is nonsense. People
100%.
want variety, like a new meal.
Confusion, man.
You're not Gordon Ramsay. You're not. You don't need to be this chef. You just need the fuel. Guys, if you're thinking about food as like, I need 3 different meals a day, I need to be entertained by my food, you're thinking about it the wrong way. Food's just fuel for the machine.
100%.
90% of the time it's fuel for the machine. Once or twice a week you go out for dinner and you enjoy your food, and that's absolutely fine. And then you just need to figure out the basic building blocks of how much protein do you need, how many carbs do you need, how many calories do you need, and figuring out what you're currently burning. What's that called? Your BMR? Basal metabolic rate? I think so.
Something like that.
Basically, how many calories your body burns just sitting around. Baseline. So for someone like me, I've got super, super high metabolism. So my BMR would be like 2,500, something absolutely ridiculous. Like I could just lay in bed all day and burn 2,500, 3,000 calories, which is nuts. So for me to increase my weight to get muscle from when I was a skinny guy, and I'm not particularly big now.
Pretty fucking big now, I'll tell you that much.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
We're like 85 kilos.
We always get, I'm not right now. I'm about 80 right now. Yeah, we get this bigorexia where we're never big enough. We're looking in the mirror and just, I still see this skinny, scrawny little boy.
That's good thing.
In the mirror, yeah. So you're always chasing something. Understand that if you've not got into fitness yet, you'll always be chasing something. As long as it's a healthy chasing, it's okay. But for me, if you're a skinny guy, you played a lot of video games, understand you need to get some high quality protein in. You need to get the right amount of calories in a day, focus on your eating, get good sleep. And that's really as simple as it is. And in 10K Accelerator, we just break that process down for you, give them my exact program, my exact meal plan, and all the calculations they need to do. And then it's just simple. Just buy the same things, eat the same things every day. And just start turning up. Turn up for your first week. And I guarantee if you complete that first week, you sleep every night, you eat the right things all week, you hit your 3 workouts, and you get to the end of, this is just 7 days away, you'll feel like a new person. If you go from video game guy right now, just fucking around on YouTube, to in 7 days having completed all of that, it will start to change your life. And all you need to do is back that up week on week, and you'll start to enjoy it.
100%, man. And man, even when I'm here, I'm not even fucking eating out or anything. I'm eating chicken and rice from around the corner.
Yeah.
That's it. Nothing else. Like I'm putting like a low, like very low fat because of the fact that you don't know, like there's oil and all this kind of shit.
Yeah.
There's chicken, rice. Literally all I've eaten is chicken and rice because the flavor in your life is all the other stuff you do. Is activities you do, travel you do. That's what's actually interesting in life. Yeah. You're like, if you want to go for a nice meal, go for a nice meal, but you don't need to do that fucking 5 times a day. And that's the reason why like people are kind of like caught up in the wrong. People are focusing on the wrong things. You know what I mean? And then they feel then that they're falling behind because they don't have the business, the mind, the body. Instead, they're just talking about lots of random shit on the internet. Yeah. Whereas you free yourself up for the things you want to do then. And I think that's why, even if you are someone who's struggling to start something or to leave your job or do whatever, that's fine. But you need to just know that these are the emotions you need. These are the levers you need to pull, the ones that are going to make the biggest impact.
Yeah, 100%. And I think over time, start to make your life a little bit more interesting.
Yeah.
If you're sitting at home all day, you're going to eat shit and just be in a funk and depressed, especially if you look at this all day.
100%, man.
If your head's in this all day, and mine is currently because I run a business from it, but even I feel it, and I'm doing productive stuff on my phone, not watching TikToks and things like that. And I feel it, like you become less present in the world around you. So you need to put that down, start making your life interesting, which is one thing that's actually taught out of you when you're at school, that your life is going to become boring. That these are the best days of your life at school.
And after traveling as well, it's back to the job. That's the one, we were talking about this before, and I couldn't get my head around that.
It's crazy. You're gonna, this is the best days of your life. This teacher telling you what to do every day, telling you when you can go to the toilet, and this is fun. And then when you leave this, life's gonna get really, really bad. And maybe you could travel for 1 year, but then you'll have to come back to a depressing life. And it's like, how could, in my head, that just seemed absurd. And I was like, this cannot be the way that life goes. but you have to train yourself out of it, because I found myself deliberately having a boring life because that was what I've been taught to do, and I felt wrong for doing it otherwise. Even when I started YouTube, I was forcing myself to have a boring life. Like, oh yeah, I need to sit down and do my work from this time to this time. And you start to realize, no, you've got complete control. If you're getting the work done, if you're hitting the targets, go and enjoy your life. Go and do the things you want to do. Spend money the way you want to spend it. There's no reason you can't be hanging out with cool guys, doing cool things, having this high octane lifestyle, jet skiing, skydiving, all this sort of stuff, surfing every day. Do what you want to do, and understand that the boring life that people have told you is complete myth. It's a fallacy. It doesn't have to be that way.
That's why I'm in Asia, man. That's why you're in Asia.
Yep.
I want to ask you about that as well. So like, you could be fucking anywhere, same as me. So why did you pick Asia in particular?
For the women.
Is that the only reason?
For the sweet Asian chicks.
Could have done South America for that too.
I'm going to go to South America for that as well. But for me, it was actually like a cost of living thing.
Same, man. The high standard of living, low cost of living.
Yeah, exactly. And the beach. I was a huge Leonardo DiCaprio fan when I was younger. I used to watch Leonardo DiCaprio every single day when I got home from school. From the ages of probably 12 to 16. I've watched every Leonardo DiCaprio movie multiple times. I've probably watched Titanic 20 times. I'm a bit messed up. And the reason why is because his name's Jack and my name's Jack. So it was the character I could relate to the most because we had the same name. But I watched The Beach a ton of times, which is about a guy that goes to Thailand traveling, but he doesn't want to do the same things all the other tourists are doing. So he decides instead to find this island with a couple of people he meets there, and he ends up in this secret sort of community on an island of hippies. And I didn't want to be a hippie, but I noticed the lifestyle and I noticed the scenery. And even in the bits at the start of the movie where he's going through Bangkok, that all seems so fascinating to me.
Same.
So it was just that got in my head. I had a great Muay Thai instructor in Bournemouth, England when I was training. And I liked Muay Thai as a martial art. And I think it's probably the most brutal and hardest martial art you can get into. It's absolutely insane. And I was like, I would love to do this in the jungle. And that idea just festered in my mind. And I had it up on a dream board for about a year. I had it on a dream board. I put a load of things up on a dream board in my office that I had when I was doing sales. And I just had this picture of a Muay Thai camp in the middle of the jungle and various other things as well. And then over time I was like, there's no reason why we can't just do this. And I got to a point where I was so close to actually not going to Thailand. So I had this moment in my life where I'd finished my sales job and I was figuring out, I had about 10 grand saved and I was figuring out what I wanted to do. I was thinking of getting into the like online personal branding and doing a fitness coaching business out of that. And that's what I ended up doing. But there was a point where I had to move from my apartment in Bournemouth back home with my mum and dad in Peterborough for a few months. And I reconnected with all my old friends. And being at home, seeing my brothers, seeing the family, seeing the dog, seeing my old friends, I started to get very comfortable. Met a few girls at home for a couple of months. And then I thought, wow, do I really want to go to Thailand? Like, this is pretty good life. Like right here, like I'm actually pretty comfortable with this. It's not scary. It's not scary at all. I feel good every day. I was just living, it's cheap cost of living. That's what I was thinking in my head.
Living at home.
It's free. And my parents have a decent house and they have like a barn out the back of the house. So I lived in this little barn. So I didn't even have to be in the same house as them.
There's nothing free, man. There's a cost to doing that.
There's a cost. And it got to the point where there was COVID stuff going on, a lot of paperwork to do. And I sat down, I was like, maybe I should just stay here. And there was just something in the back of my mind that said, nah, you got to try it, man. Even if you come back next week, at least try it. And then I was away and you do a big change like that in your life. You get on that plane and it takes your mind to a new level. It breaks your mind. Your brain explodes and you walk into a new reality. The life looks different. Mm-hmm. It's like you're looking at life through rose-tinted shades. And yeah, things were scary, but life felt full of opportunity and excitement again. I'd broken out of this pattern, this boring pattern, and I became a new person. And that all came from Asia.
100%, man.
Yeah.
It's fucking sick because you can do whatever you want in terms of fitness, health, and optimize for that, as well as living this incredibly high standard of living. And you'll probably resonate this as well. I remember 21 years old, came out of the airport in Bangkok, and the feeling of Asia. This is a distinct feeling of Asia. It's 100% humidity,
Yeah.
the smell, like the fucking smog in the air, and that's the vibe. Like,
Yeah.
that's the feeling that I had, and I've never like forgotten that feeling. And every time I come back, even when I arrived here last night, which is a lot like less humid than like Singapore, I was like, fuck, it's just so nice to get off that plane and just feel that heat, you know? And like, yeah, like you can get in like, you know, Ibiza and you can go here, whatever, but there's just something distinct about it because like it's just so different. And also, you'll find us, you probably noticed as well, the fact that like when you're in Asia, like Southeast Asia or Indonesia, no one really gives a shit that you're from like the West. You know what I mean? It's just like this is their incubator world, and you're joining that world, which is like really, really nice because then it's just like a full new, fresh perspective.
You're instantly accepted here.
Yeah, and people are so fucking nice.
So nice, so nice. And I'd actually think like in Bali, people are crazy nice. Like it freaked me out a little bit in the airport.
Yeah, 100%.
It freaked me out a little bit. Like people were so nice, and I was like, "Oh, there must be a scam or something going on here. Like someone's trying to scam me. People aren't this nice." And you just forget. It's especially I spent some time in Dubai, and I think one of the things I did a month in Dubai before this. One of the things money does to people, if they don't manage it right, some people do, some people don't. If they don't manage it right, it makes you scared. It makes you evil. You're scared to lose things. It makes you maybe not evil's the word, but it makes you harsh. It makes you paranoid. So people aren't friendly. Dubai's got so much money that people are less friendly because people seem more paranoid about they think everyone's out to get something from them. Here, people don't think you have any money. If you come here, people don't assume you have money. They assume you've got nothing. And everyone's got nothing and they're happy with that. And I remember being in Dubai for a month and just walking back through the airport in Bangkok. Just a grin on my face, just a massive grin on my face. The feeling that you get from being in Asia. And back, it just feels like home, which is nuts because I've been here a year and a half. But it just feels like home. I would never want to live at this point. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else.
And there's different stages to it. Like as we discussed, like when I started doing Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, I was like 21. I was with my mate Tom. We were like young, dumb, like filled with cum, fucking 21-year-olds, and we're just like hostel vibe, and that was great. You know, it's like doing like 8 weeks at a time, back to uni, 8 weeks at a time, back to uni, and that was unbelievable. And then when I came back with my girlfriend. It's slightly different. I'm working here now. I'm kind of building businesses here. I don't take it for granted, but I guess I'm kind of more used to it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a different kind of vibe as a result. You know, I'm looking to, you know, build property here next couple of years. And I don't know, it's like next layer of maturity. Whereas the traditional path would tell you, oh, just going to Asia is just like a thing you do on like your fucking uni break. Yeah. And then you go back to that world.
Yeah. But come back to the real world.
Exactly. Whereas like, I said this the other day to my girlfriend. I was like, I would say that Indonesia is a real representation of the real world because you have people that are extremely wealthy, you have people that are not so wealthy, you have people then that are like struggling, and that's what actually the real world is, you know. And then hopefully you help the people that need help. Whereas like in other areas of the world, like people just like put a cloth over it, try to forget it didn't even exist, you know? So it's a good representation of what actually happens. And so is actually Central America. I spent a lot of time in Mexico too. Mexico is really, really nice for that. It's super community vibe. I don't speak Spanish. My girlfriend does though. But when I was there, I was on my own first. No Spanish. And people were super welcoming, super kind. You're sitting at a table. It's all like fucking stools, plastic stools. You could be there for 2 hours before someone makes you food. Because that's just a vibe. You just have a fucking beer, you sit down there for 2 hours, they'll come out with a few tacos later, it'll cost like $7. They're not in a rush, you're not in a rush. And that's sick.
That's what it's all about.
100%.
It's just moments in time. That's all we get is moments in time. I don't know where I heard that, but when somebody said that, it really stuck with me. It's like you spend so long channeled in these phones thinking about where you're getting to, and you miss the whole show. You miss the whole point. Whenever I find myself looking to the future, I really try and stop myself. It's great to have a plan and everything. Yeah. If you live in the future, you're screwing up right now because we're literally not guaranteed to make it there. I was thinking that the other day. I caught myself doing it. It was actually a couple of days ago in Bali. I'm here with my family. I've flown them out here for a family holiday. Great to see them again. It's been about a year since we hung out together. And I've got 2 younger brothers, 22 and 18, and mum and dad. And I found myself just, you get that way in business where you're like, God damn, I got a lot of stuff to do. Let's hurry up and sort of move on to getting back to Bangkok and let's get sort of off this holiday. And I caught myself and I was like, man, you do not want to be the kind of person that does that. because you never know. It could be the last time you ever see your family, and you're rushing away from the dinner table to go and answer some call. That the money's still going to be there. So it's really, for me, I regularly check myself on how kind I'm being, and also how present in the moment I am, and making sure I'm enjoying things right now with a plan for the future. But remember what matters. The money, you can always make more money. The family, one day they'll be gone. So you might as well cherish the time together.
100%. I try to say that to my parents too, trying to get them to come out to Asia. Just being like, there'll come a stage where you can't, you know? And
Yeah.
it's just the reality of the world. It's not like a morbid way to look at it.
No.
There'll come a time that you won't be able to. So now while you have the opportunity, we definitely should like try and make these. And I also actually said this too. I was like, I make money so that I can like share the experiences. Obviously, it's like planning for the future too and all that bullshit. But fundamentally, you want to enjoy it. I'm not that interested in Rolexes. I've nothing wrong with people buying them. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. But that's not where I'm trying to make money for. It's not where I'll allocate my money. I'd love to do more and more experiences and more on that kind of family connectivity, which doesn't mean I live 1 kilometer from my family home. That's not the family that I'm trying to build. It's just a different type of alternative universe.
We live in a very interesting time because you can remain close with your family when you're far away, because you can speak to them every day still. So you don't necessarily have to live close, because we're not sending carrier pigeons or letters in the post anymore. So you can FaceTime them every day. You build a relationship that way, and that's very easy to do. And then I think it's just about seeing them for quality time together, doing quality things that you'll remember. Like we did yesterday, we went white water rafting in Bali.
Sick.
I don't know what the place was called, but I'm in the car for 2 hours together with my brothers and mum and dad, and then we're going down this river, seeing river snakes and seeing guys fall out of their rafts and stuff like that. We didn't fall out. We're pretty good unit, to be fair. And
good genes.
Yeah, but I think it's so important to do that. Like if you live, what I found when I lived closer to home, and my brothers find this because they still live with my mum and dad. They both finished school and uni, and they're at each other's throats more. They don't value each other's time. So a lot of people, they live close and they jeopardize the relationship by living close. It's better to live far, have your own life, and then spend quality time together. Memories that you have, because what do you really remember? Maybe it's just me, maybe my memory's bad, but you don't remember a lot of stuff, man.
But you think very deeply about it, which I think is why you're very successful, right? And it's why you've done the business, why you've done the health stuff, and why you've a good relationship. Because I'm actually quite the same. Through my podcast, I've had to ruthlessly think about why I do anything, like literally anything.
Yeah.
And I literally ring my family off this laptop on WhatsApp, bear in mind, like once every like 4 days, 5 days, and we have like a really good conversation. But I'd be like, what are you doing? Like, how's the business going? How's this doing? I'll be asking him about like fucking fixing the lawn or some bullshit. And we'll just like sit down and talk. And the conversations could be like an hour and a half. And I'm like, all right, gotta go. And just that's it. Whereas if I was nearby, it'd be like, oh, effort. You just take it for granted. And I think that's a big thing that can happen in any aspect. Same with relationships.
Yep.
Same with whoever it is. Same with friends, man.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I think how do you do that? How do you fix yourself such that you remember the important times like in the moment?
There's a great book you've probably read, The Power of Now.
I actually haven't.
That's an eye-opener. I listened to the audiobook, which if you've listened to it, you'll understand is fairly strange. This guy that narrates it is a pretty weird guy, but it's all about trying to get as focused into the moment as possible, and that really highlighted it for me, was that book. And I'm the same as anyone else. I just regularly have to check myself on these things. So I make time alone, because that's incredibly important as a man. The amount of time you spend alone is fundamental to any kind of success. Time alone without distraction, and you'll be led on the right path. But you're not going to get any of the muse, I call it, the muse, the divine intervention from God or a power above. None of that can happen whilst you're distracted or distracted with social interaction. So you need to leave time for inspiration, which I focus on massively, and then schedule in the time where you're revived and your life's refreshed by interaction with others, and just have that scheduled throughout your week with your friends, with your girlfriend, if you have one, and with your family, and just make sure that's scheduled and nothing gets in the way of it, and run your life that way, and you'll have I find that's when I'm at my best, perform my best, my most fruitful, my most happy, is when I do that. And I make mistakes all the time and end up stuck in work or spending too long with one person. I mean, sometimes you really like a chick and you end up spending countless hours together because you're getting this dopamine fix by just being around someone else. And sometimes you have that from friends. You just got to got to mind it, because too much of anything is a bad thing.
Protect your focus, man.
Yeah,
100%.
protect your focus big time.
Want to ask you about testosterone as being the CEO.
Oh yeah.
I got my bloods done for this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't for this podcast. I actually got them done because I'm on finasteride.
Yeah.
So you know
What is that? What is that?
So finasteride is a DHT inhibitor.
Okay.
And it's to stop hair loss.
Okay.
So I have loads of like hair loss videos on YouTube that have done way better than my podcast. And basically it's so how you lose hair is DHT like increases, and then you start miniaturizing your hair.
From the creatine, right?
No, not from creatine. Just like natural, like genetics,
Okay.
right? Well, it's genetic and a few other things, but you can inhibit DHT, dihydrotestosterone, by taking finasteride, not medical advice. And I've been on like about 2 years, and finasteride can have some serious impacts in your body if you're part of the 1% that get it.
Okay.
So you just always have to do like blood work and stuff like this, and most people don't, but I got them done because I literally have a YouTube channel made around this stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
So as a result, what can happen is your test or free test can decrease and your estradiol can increase, which is how you can get gyno from it. But unrelated to gyno, you can actually just increase your estrogen in ratio in comparison to the test. So I had to get it done, and everything was fine. But I got my test done. You might find this interesting. So no gear, nothing. 638 ng DL.
Not bad.
Which is 22.1 nmol.
Yeah.
What do you think?
It's
Tell me honestly.
that is I think that probably says like high or
27.
like high average.
Yeah. Don't drink. Don't do any of that. You know.
I would say you'll feel a lot better at 1,000.
So is it up to 1,000 or is it like 1,100?
You can go further than 1,000.
Yeah. It's almost like much higher than
you
that.
can go further than 1,000. I'd say that's a good place to start, and you can probably get a lot higher, and you'll feel better.
What's yours?
Mine's 956 NGDL. The last time I checked, but I don't know. I feel like it could be even more now. One thing as well is I don't know how your life is structured.
Mm-hmm.
But I found the more I hang out with guys in a competitive environment, my fucking testosterone goes through the roof. It's a mental thing.
To feel, yeah.
It's a mental thing. Like if you are in a period of competition, growth and learning around other guys, and you're hitting it hard in your training, in your business, compared to spending time living with a girlfriend. I know you have a girlfriend. If you split those two, you'll feel massive differences. Just and same if you're winning or you're losing. If you keep losing, your testosterone goes down. If you win, your testosterone goes up, because winners need more testosterone to go and conquer. Mm-hmm. So that's very interesting. I would say it's a good place to start, but you could definitely increase it.
Yeah, because I'm 12 weeks into a diet, so that's why I thought it'd be like a bit lower, actually, to be honest. Because I'm doing 24 weeks of a cut.
And how many calories are you on?
I was bulking on 4,000.
Nice.
And then I came down, my first 6 weeks were at 2,900, then I was at 2,600, now I'm down to 23.
Okay.
And I'm training 5 days a week. I'm only doing one cardio. I'm not doing no cardio sessions. I'm just doing the light cardio the one day that I'm off.
Yeah.
And then 24 weeks of a cut, because I'm checking what my physique is going to be like at the end of it, and if I could potentially compete next year.
Nice.
But I would need to go back up and do another 6 to 9 months of a bulk. But man, 4,000 calories in a bulk would fuck you up good. Like it was serious going. But that's why I wanted to get it done now and see like where we're at. And I think it's pretty decent for someone who's like never fucked with PEDs or anything like that.
Definitely.
I think the stress and the sleep is what's getting me the most. Because I sleep like 6 to 6.5 hours, and I'm stressed because I'm working 15 hours a day.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I gave up alcohol a year ago. So
that's huge. Yeah, if you dial that sleep in, you'll already get huge benefits. But I know where you're coming from, because once you go down sort of a rabbit hole with sleep where you get used to having 6 hours, and it feels like you're functioning normally, but you're really not. I always recommend 8+. You need 8+.
How do you do that though?
To function optimally? My life is really geared towards rest and recovery. Because I find it so important to actually operating and doing anything.
Because the training you do is such high output in Muay Thai.
Yeah, if I'm doing Muay Thai or boxing, it's crazy high output. I mean, I can go to sleep when I get home because I'm knackered. But same with training in the gym and just life in general. If I don't have my 8 hours sleep, my brain doesn't work as efficiently and my mood is not as elevated. You read Why we sleep.
I haven't, because I'm afraid of what will happen as a
If you
result.
just read that ever since I read that, I've been scared. Like I have a late night and I get really scared that I'm going to have a heart attack or
Like
something.
last night when I came in at 3 a.m.
Yeah. You're sitting here with like no sleep at all. But it goes through in this book exactly why we sleep and why it is so important that we used to sleep from when it was dark until it was light. Before all of this other stuff, we would just go out, we'd hunt, we'd have our exercise to make us tired. We'd wake up when we'd have the ground on our feet, have the sun on our skin and in our eyes. We'd hunt, we'd tire ourselves out. We'd eat once in the day and we would go to sleep again. And that's how we were made to operate. And the closer you come back to that, you unlock a new part of your brain, new level of energy. Like I haven't actually been sleeping that well recently either, hence the Red Bull. But you don't even need this stuff when you sleep well. You have 10 times more energy just naturally off the bat. Do you do any supplements or anything to help with your test?
My test, no. My diet is like razor sharp. Like I've never eaten off diet for maybe 9 months.
That's
I haven't
like
broken
not a slice of pizza or anything like that.
So when I went to Dubai, I was in Dubai the same time you
yeah.
were. I paid like $500 for a meal prep company to follow me around Dubai. I'm
Nice.
like literally just like razor sharp with it. I have a coach who's literally like my wife. Like he's literally with me every ounce of it. Like I send you an image I just sent a minute ago about what I'm eating at the moment, and he follows everything because like where I'm at, the way I think about this is the fact that I'm not the smartest, the biggest, the strongest. Like I'm like 5'7" on the best day, usually like 5'6", and so to get to the stage of like that really high performance, either on my laptop or in the gym, I need to go to that extra level. And everyone's like, oh yeah, like relax and chill out and stuff. I don't really want to. Like I don't feel like opportunity cost. You know, I gave up alcohol deliberately because I felt like it had net negative impacts on me. And same with all other stuff. Like I don't have that craving because it's been so long. It's like out of my brain. It's eliminated.
Yeah.
Whereas like, yeah, you know, and I was a big smoker and everything. Like I was a menthol boy, like, and it's just gone out of my head. Just do it for long. Get out of it for long enough. It just goes out.
Yeah, it does, big time. And then you just have to make sure you don't slip back into it. But I can see it actually in your skin, in the way that you look, that you must have a super clean diet.
Yeah, but it's funny when I speak with people like Justin, like he's 10 years older than me and he looks fucking younger than me.
He doesn't look younger than you.
He looks young.
Justin does look young.
Yeah.
How old's Justin? 38?
37, 38.
37, 38.
Yeah. But even like
Looks very well.
Sterling.
Yeah.
Sterling is I think he's probably a little bit older than him around that age. He like his face looks young. I know he's shaved head, but he looks really young though. And like the guys didn't like get things done to their face, you know. They like Sterling is like super optimized for like test and nutrition and everything, you know.
Sterling's super optimized for sex. That's what.
Yeah, that's
what Sterling's optimized for.
Sorry, completely correction. Yes,
Yeah.
And all the other shit just happens as a result.
Yeah, all the other stuff is.
Actually, I was going to ask you on that was you were saying about eggs before bed.
Yeah.
Now I heard Sterling mention on Mike Thurston's podcast that he had eggs before bed when he was doing a porn film the next day.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. What's the reason?
Basically the testosterone that's made in your balls comes from cholesterol, and it happens in the middle of the night. So if you sleep well and you have excess cholesterol in your diet from the eggs that you've eaten, say 4 eggs before bed, it just means that your body is able to produce more testosterone. So you wake up the next morning sort of charged up. You're ready to go. And if you start doing that regularly, you get an increase in testosterone, which is pretty crazy. An easy hack.
It's cool, man. It's
Very easy hack.
Did you ever find that your concentration goes and your test is really high?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm like a fucking like. But so how do you manage that? Like,
yeah. So if you spend more time with me, you'll understand I'm quite an interesting character. I would reckon myself more like a conqueror. Like if I'd lived in previous generations, I'm not just an entrepreneur or a creator. I'm a conqueror. Like I was meant to conquer new lands and take their women. But that's what I was born to do. I was just born in the wrong era. So when you spend time, like I've got a business partner, Bill, who does all the back-end marketing websites, all that sort of stuff, because I can't do that. That's not my area of expertise.
Yeah.
But if you talk to Bill about what I'm like, it's like a large part of my day is going out and conquering women. Like that is a large part of my day. So that having the high test does come with that thing as well. Like I'll just make sure the work's done. It's like, okay, work's done, Bill. I'm going out. Like it's time to find women, or I'm having a girl over, whatever. It's like I've hit gym, I've fought someone, and now it's time to conquer women. And then we'll do it all again tomorrow. Like that's how I run. I can't operate in a quiet environment. Like I couldn't operate not knowing I'm getting my treat at the end of the day. If I have to do a whole day's worth of business work and I'm not being able to fight or get my treat at the end of the day, I'm gonna be upset. And if that happens for too long, I'll explode.
Now, do you think that like affects like the outcome, like the result?
Yeah, in a good way though.
Yeah,
Because it's my brand.
Yeah.
It's who I am. Without it, there wouldn't be anything.
Yeah.
And could I be probably a little bit more successful or consistent with the work that I do if I dialed that in a little bit more? I probably could, but it feels like the essence of my personality and who I am as a person.
Do you think you're addicted to sex?
Yes, most definitely. Absolutely, without question, I am. But I don't necessarily think that's a terrible addiction. I think I've been 2 weeks without sex since I was 16 years old.
Oh my
So
God.
in 8 years, the maximum I've ever done is 2 weeks. And I know a lot of people saying, and you can get from like semen retention a lot of benefits for your creativity.
Mhm.
I wouldn't be able to function and do that.
100%.
I've tried it before. I just can't concentrate on my work.
Do you know Jesse James West, big YouTuber?
Jesse James West, I've heard that name.
He's like shredded dude. He's around your age, 23, 24.
Oh yeah, he's
Yeah,
he's absolutely killing it,
Yeah,
blowing
he's-
up, like doing really cool videos.
He's just a beast. But
Yeah.
he did like semen retention for like 30 days.
Mm.
And bear in mind, I can barely do like 30
watched that
minutes.
video. Yeah.
And like apparently he was like punching the fucking wall after like 7 days. But the biggest thing for me is the
Yeah.
fact that like I can't get my mind out of it. So when you're like fully like driven towards this like banging, conquering, I can't get my mind out of it.
Yeah.
So even if it's a couple of hours gone by, even when I was quite young, it's so difficult.
If you
Like,
haven't done it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have
You
to
know
go
what I
and do it, and then you can focus.
Yeah. And like he did 30 days and he
Yeah.
towards the end
That's
of it,
nuts,
like
man.
his test went up to, I think it went up to like 560.
So yeah,
like-
quite low test, I think.
Yeah, from like, but he was dieting again. It was
I
like
do think
480 to 560. I could be wrong now, but
that's
I think
decent.
it was.
Yeah, that's decent. That's a decent increase, and I think you get a lot of mental benefits from it. But
But it looked like it was the opposite for him. Like there was points where he said his training was really dialed in, his cardio was dialed in. But then he said he'd just be like in traffic and just like raging in traffic.
yeah. I understand that. If I didn't have the outlets that I have in the way that my life's set up, I would be a nightmare. I'll be a nightmare to handle and work with. But I can manage it myself, and I like that in me. I think that's just part of my personality. You can always dial things in, like till the cows come home. You can get things dialed in. But
do
I
other
don't
shit.
want to be that guy
100%, man.
because they wouldn't have done that back in like Victorian times or like when knights and shit were running around. Like no one was dialing stuff in crazy back then. You were just the king, and that's what you did.
And that's a good way to actually always like frame things, is like go back to like the way our body like originally functioned. Like so sleep, as you mentioned there, or like drive, or like desires, or like conquering desires against like all this like woke bullshit whereby like be more like, it's okay, don't be like the best, like as in we shouldn't
don't bang anyone.
Yeah, we shouldn't be celebrating people coming like fucking third or fourth. And actually you'll find this interesting. I got that from individual sports. I used to be a sprinter, 100-meter sprinter. And I also played rugby.
You struck me as a tennis player.
Fuck you. Are you serious?
You struck me as a tennis player.
No way.
I'm sorry.
I used to play rugby, and I used to sprint 100-meter as well. And even though I was better at rugby, the individual sport, what you get, like the winning from it, that's where like all of my drive comes from. Because when you lost, it was like, yeah, you lost. These other guys are fucking way bigger, faster, stronger than you. And then when you won, it's like, there's no one else to appraise. Like, it's not someone else's fucking reason. It's because you won, because you're actually the reason why, you know?
Yeah.
And then you bring that into like a business context, life context, dating context.
Exactly. And the alpha male of the pack, he's going out, he's hunting and protecting his tribe. So you're going out, you're making money, you're doing business, you're conquering through the day. and then he's getting all the women knocked up in the evening. That's just what he does. That's the natural flow of life.
100%, man. I want to ask you about like finding like influences and mentors. So obviously you would like, we mentioned like Iman, we mentioned many other people. How can people go and actually find like mentors and influences, like positive influences to follow?
The easiest way to do it is to, if you know the right person, is to invest money into those things.
Mhm.
I think I said on a podcast I did with, I can't remember his name right now, but I did a podcast and I mentioned that I'd spent like 20 grand this year so far on like mentorships and masterminds and groups and stuff.
Mhm.
And I think when you've got someone with the receipts that has done what you want to do, just pay them. Get the money together and pay them, because you can save and you can try and do it yourself, but you don't understand. They're going to unlock a level of your brain that takes you from making 2K a month to 25 grand a month, and you've just made back the 5 to 10K you paid them for the mentorship, and you keep that skill for the rest of your life, and they're now a friend. Anyone who's ever done mentorship with me has become a friend. We've ended up meeting up. Like, it's the easiest way into someone's circle and to like reinvigorate your circle and the people that you're around is to pay for mentorship and to be around the right people. Make sure it's the right stuff. Make sure it's not a marketing scam, but that's probably the easiest way. And then in life, I think your whole life should be manufactured to be around high level individuals, to up the standards of what you expect. If you're, so there's a lot of guys I meet and they're making, I think there's one guy in particular who's making $80,000 a month. So a considerable amount of money. Doesn't fly business class. And in my head, that's absurd. And for him, he's like, it's just a ridiculous amount of money for a plane getting the same place, which I can understand. They both take you to the same destination. But you don't understand the back end impacts of not treating yourself and demanding more for your life. When you sit in business, you do business. You're around other guys that afford to pay in business. There's lounges at the back of the plane. You sit down with them, you chat with them. I made a lot of good connections on business flights from Bangkok to Dubai. Really good flight path, not that expensive. And you meet good guys that are ready to do business, and you sit there and you demand more from yourself. So if you've just paid for a flight that cost 5 times what your economy flight, rather than sitting next to somebody that's broke, that's not on your same wavelength, that's not in the same headspace, you're around other people that are in the same headspace, you're ready to work, you've got your own space, you do business. Whereas for this guy, I was like, we ended up being on the same flight, and he wanted to hang out and chat with me and my friend Dario. But he was in economy, and we could have spent the whole time connecting, doing business at the back of the plane in the lounge. And we were like, because he met us in the airport, we were just chatting with him, and we were like, oh, come on, let's go get on the plane. And he went through to economy, and we were like, man, you got to change that, because you just missed out on the opportunity. We ended up speaking to a load of cool guys in the back of the plane, doing business, millionaires from around the world, made great connections, got invites over to South America, to Colombia, to go and explore, to go meet them. Big DJ we met. And all of that comes from just sort of demanding more from yourself and your lifestyle and your surroundings.
I love that, man. I think it's like environment design. Just literally just creating this new way of entering these fucking clubs.
Yeah.
And it's, man, they're so low cost as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if your group or other groups in particular, like that's the only way you're going to really connect. Now, of course, like you've had your podcast, I've had my podcast too, which has helped me do it in a different way. But the fastest route to it versus doing a 3-year fucking podcast is just pay the 2K, pay the 1K, get on the right fucking flight, and go to the right places, you know?
Yeah, go to the right places as well, like members clubs and the best gym in your town. Like, why are you not at the best fucking health club in your town is unbelievable. You're 100%. Spending the least amount of money on the gym membership possible. Yeah. Like, that's important. Like, that's a significant amount.
So even the gyms here, some of them are good, some of them aren't great, but they're fine, whatever. And some of them are very expensive in the context of like what you get. But that's not what you're paying for. No. You know what I mean? And it's like if it's Thursday evening, instead of being in a fucking club, you can go down there, chill in the steam room, sauna, meet other people who are paying the $250 a month or whatever it is. And some people look at that and think, oh, like that's like too expensive. Yeah. But that's not the whole point, you know?
You're never going to save yourself to riches. Yeah. You're never going to get there with that constricted mindset. That scarcity mindset is never going to get you there. So you have to expand. You have to let the flow of money go. You have to let money flow. Give it away to people. Tip people heavily. Go to the best places. Spend your money, because there's something you don't learn that once you learn it, it's going to blow away the amount you could have saved over the years. It might take you spending all your money and having absolutely nothing for 2 years. And then you learn the one thing from the one person, the right connection in the right place that makes you a millionaire in that year. And And you could have saved up all those years and had, I don't know, 50 grand by the time you get here, and then you make $1 million in a year because you spent that 50 grand on being around the right people. So don't constrict yourself and save if you're not currently at the level you want to be at. You need to spend and learn so you can get to that level. If you're not making 100, 200, 300, 400 grand a month, there's something you don't know because there's people doing it.
Yeah. When you spoke to Iman about the investing part, what's your plan from like an investment perspective now that you're building all this capital?
For me at the moment, I believe in focusing on one thing that's working. So all my investments go back into myself, my lifestyle, because it helps the brand, hiring videographer to like a full team to have like real vlog lifestyle content coming out, high quality stuff. And then we put all the money back into business investment, all that sort of stuff, promoting our groups and making them better, all of those sorts of things, because they're the biggest ROI for me right now. But just whilst I'm doing that, 35% gets taken and put in an investment account in Dubai for a later date. So for me, I'm not currently decided where I want to allocate those funds. So at the moment, just 35% gets taken and put aside. And that was something Iman told me to do. Is when you start making money like this, you need to take 35%, put it away, even if you don't know what you're going to put it into yet, whether it's Bitcoin or crypto, property, just have something there. So at the moment I do that. And then everything else is just lifestyle and investing back in the business, making better content, that sort of stuff.
I love that, man, because people try to split their focus too quickly. And I learned that the hard way. So like I was doing fucking random shit, like loads of different time wasters. And then I stopped it all and just do the podcast stuff. And obviously the agency is in line with the podcast. So same to your point, it's all in one alignment. And I plan to like branch out when I have escape velocity, when you get to the stage that you're at, you know. So instead of going go super, super narrow, because I see so many fucking people, man, that are like doing this like Discord group and then this and then this and this. It's like, why do you want to do 8 things and make 2K from 8, whereby you could just do one thing and make 30, 40, 50K?
Yeah.
But I don't understand why you'd want to do more things, you know?
People just get caught up in thinking more is better when essentialism is the key. It's a great book. You see it, read Essentialism? Yeah, I fucking love that book. But essentialism is so important that you just focus on the things that actually matter and don't get distracted. I see so many guys that get to 10K a month and they want to pivot. They want to go and do something else, or they're interested in taking that 10 grand and putting it into cryptos and learning how to invest and play with the Forex market. And I'm like, bro, you're insane. You've got a vehicle. You've figured out your vehicle. And I can see right now it's scalable. You just have to scale the right bits. But easier said than done. Other people can see it for you. I can point at anyone and say, yeah, you're doing the wrong things, but we don't know why they're doing them.
And that's why you need to work with people.
Yeah.
I forget the guy's name now, but I saw a tweet the other day, big kind of Twitter money Twitter kind of dude. And he was saying that whenever he meets new friends or like old friends, they're always doing like a new thing. So it was a Web 3.0, it was a crypto, it was a fucking this token. Now it's some AI tool. And then they asked him, what do you do now? And he said the same answer, just build an agency. Same thing for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
The boring business. And I don't know how big the agency is, a big enough guy. And he was like, all I do is just build the agency. Same thing people ask him. And man, that's why it's working.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like all these like businesses, like yours in particular, which is obviously is blown up really quickly. Where is it going to get to? But if you diversified into some fucking teeth whitening thing.
Yeah, teeth whitening and fucking shit coins, which people send me all the time. And I'm like, I don't want to do that.
It'll go back down though. You know? So you just go vroom on one side and then you'll end up back in nowhere, you know? So
and some of them are really well disguised. Like opportunities, I do believe in like... there's always something that's coming to try and take you off your path. It's a challenge to see if you stay on it and you deserve what you've gotten. So there'll be very interesting opportunities that come your way the bigger you get. But you've just got to become a master at saying no to those things because they are designed to distract you and take you away from what got you to the place you are. And I try and remember that all the time. And some things seem amazing, but you just think, is that the core purpose? It's good to have the value, the mission written down so that you know when you're coming away from it. And if it doesn't tie in with the mission, then it doesn't happen.
You probably face this a lot because yours is very customer facing, but Alex Ramosi said that the season of no's. So, you know, for the first 3 or 4 years, just say no to everything that you do. And when I had an offer for 30% of my company last week, 2 weeks ago, and it looked way too confusing to me. And I just said, no, not the right time. You know, I didn't understand it, you know, and I was just like, these are the things you have to say no to continuously.
I think so. The devil's always coming to get you.
Yeah.
And that's what proves if you're meant for success or you're meant for that life that you really want is can you say no to the devil and keep yourself on track. So you just got to keep an eye out for him and think in your head, it's a good one. Think in your head, if I was the best possible version of myself, optimizing that complete capacity, what would I do in this situation? And try and ask yourself that. What would the super version of me do right now? Would he say yes to this? Or is he confident enough to know that his vehicle is going to get him there? And is this just me driven by greed to a quick win? And try and talk to that part of yourself, the part that you're trying to become. Easier to stay on track.
Of course, man. As you look towards the future, what's the plan now? Like, where do you want to get to in terms of scale and size?
Yeah, I've not even sort of scratched the surface on the content I can make. I've got a lot inside me now because I've not been very active on making content. I've been doing a lot of business stuff and a lot of learning personally, a lot of growth personally. So I've been posting maybe once a week or even a little bit less. And I've really got a lot of ideas for new content and the way I'm looking at the world now. I'm speaking with a friend of mine who did vlogs for me before, but he was at university, so he couldn't come and work for me. He's called James. He did my Muay Thai videos, one of my biggest video. And he's coming back. So James is making a comeback. We're going to get together and just in terms of my content, I've not even scratched the surface on what I know I can make as a filmmaker and as a creator. So I'm super excited about that. I've got some crazy ideas for content. A lot of my life, my favorite things looking back on life is adventure. So a large part of my content, I want to be like real adventures. Like we go and do some crazy stuff, climb Mount Kilimanjaro. We put some sort of parameters on it, so we have to do it in a certain time or make it a proper entertainment thing, but also delivering value throughout the video, like delivering value and lessons throughout the video. So a lot of that I want to do, a lot of lifestyle stuff. And then the business, New Elite, the network is the core part of my business, really where I get the most out of it, because it is really my circle of guys that I hang out with now. It's all inside of my network. So we'll be doing a lot of events, giving a lot of guys who maybe have money the experiences that make a man, like getting together for masterminds that are fight camps, running through your style, running through relationships with women, relationships with others around you, giving guys that have already got money but maybe don't feel like the man they want to be, putting a lot of that together for guys in our group, teaching that online inside of the group, and then also doing these masterminds, growing out the network. So we've got more people doing more things around the world, so people get more benefits. So we've got somebody in every town or city around the world that can connect with someone when they're new to a place and go out together for dinners and start connecting and basically do business with each other inside the group. And then 10K Accelerator to blow that up as a learning platform, to get 1,000 guys to 10K a month online income in sales would be unbelievable, because that's life-changing money for those people and a life-changing skill. And then hopefully they come join us in the New Elite along the way, and we have a hell of an empire. That's the current plan.
That's fucking sick, man. I want to ask you before we finish up on that YouTube side of things. So your background was in film. Like, why do you think your channel is blowing up from that perspective of like the creation? Like, what's your actual like creation process mentally, and like how do you scope out these kind of ideas?
Yeah, a lot of people won't know that. So I went to university to do film. That was what I originally went for, and I've always been interested in filmmaking and movies and that sort of stuff. So that's my background in film for anyone that didn't know. But the reason, there's a few tips that I've got in terms of building a YouTube from what I've found over the last year. Make content for you is number one. I only make things that I'm interested in. The times I've tried to guess my audience or what they would want to see, it's times my video views start to tank and people aren't subscribing and the videos aren't doing well. I'm not trying to guess the market. I'm just being consistently growing and interested in things personally and making videos based on that. That's number one. And it makes content creation a lot easier because there's no guesswork in it. Just make what you like. If someone doesn't like it, no problem. On to the next thing. The art is in the creation. You're not worrying about analytics. You're not worrying about how many people see it. Did you do your best in terms of creation, and did you actually create? Because that's the hardest thing, is getting down and creating. That's where most people have the most resistance, is they all want to do a channel, but they never press the button. So you take everything out of it. You do it super simple. For me, if you watch my first ever video, it's just me with a camera, my iPhone camera. It's called a gorilla named Jack. It's the first video on my channel. Not the first video I ever made in my life, but the first one on this channel. And I'm just walking around my very small apartment in Koh Samui, Thailand, just saying like, I don't know what this channel is going to be about, but I like girls and I like going to the gym. And I currently live in Thailand, and I've just met Hamza, so we'll see what happens. And then I just kept making videos every day on that same basis. I took away all the like production value. Because my big resistance was I wanted to make movies. I wanted to make amazing content, and that stopped me from making anything. So I just got the camera out and recorded, and then I just started doing that every day. And that's why my videos are so simple on a laptop with the PowerPoints and stuff. It's because they're easy to do. I sit down, put a few ideas out from my brain, and then I can make content that's better than doing nothing.
And the Loom videos.
Yeah, I'll do Loom. I'll speak with the CEO of Loom. When I was sponsored by Loom when I first started doing videos, and I speak with the CEO regularly. Yeah, he's a really cool guy. He's actually such a G.
No way.
Yeah, Vinay, his name is.
Sure.
It could be Ku or CEO. But Vinay's absolute G. He watched my content and saw I was using Loom, and then they sponsored me when I really needed the money. I used to get like $500 a video from Vinay himself. The marketing budget wouldn't even put it in there because of my channel, but Vinay personally funded the start of my YouTube channel. So big shout out to him. We could do another collaboration again, Vinay, if you want to. If you're watching this, I'd happily have you as a sponsor again.
We can do the whole thing.
You're the only sponsor I have, but at the time, my channel wasn't really big enough for it to make any sense for him, and he was paying it out of his pocket. So we did like 10, and then he's like, oh, I can't really do any more right now.
That's funny.
But he might look at it again now because the channel's bigger.
Fuck, man, that's sick.
Yeah.
And you've been kind of telling your story, I guess, and treading that through, and you've also been kind of like helping people kind of make that transformation. Like you're picking up on some really good pieces there of like storytelling that are very interesting, but people don't really kind of think about it. I would say that.
Yeah, what I do is I just make sure I tell a story that's happened in my life and then put it with some advice that I used myself and how that helped me. And I think that's very powerful. A lot of people get it wrong. They sit down and tell people what to do. And if you sit down and tell people what to do, but you come off a different kind of way, you come off a little bit more annoying or abrasive, people don't watch your content. So it's all about stories and realism. A lot of the stuff I've said on my channel has been very hard to say. A lot of the stuff is if you've watched every video on my channel, you know me better than most people because I've gone into the intricate parts. My content's made alone. When I'm sitting alone, really thinking and thinking about the life that I've had and lived so far and what I'm learning and how I'm growing. And I've put all of that out on content. So if you've watched it, I become very, very real throughout my content, and it flows with my moods. I'm a different man on different podcasts or different videos on my channel. And I think being real is the number one thing. People can sense it when you're not authentic. Yeah. But if you are real, you're really onto a winner with your content. Just being real, making it for you. Don't worry about the analytics to start, and produce every day a small amount. And I did that 150 days, every day videos, editing them myself, thumbnails myself. And I think if I'd continued with that, but the channel would have gone even bigger. That I just got to a point where I was burnt out after that much creation. I needed to revive myself and do a bit of growing personally. But I think if you can hit the everydays just for 100 days, then you've got a real look at something you've given a chance to. You've really given it a good shot, and you can start to see if you've had any traction, if there's anything about it that you're going to change. You've massively improved in your content creation, and you've just stuck in there for 100 days. So don't even worry about having a single sub for 100 days, I'd say, and then reevaluate the situation after.
That's so fucking helpful, man. So much valuable points in there because 150 days, people would have given up a long time before that.
There were some crazy days in those days. I remember days where really making content was difficult. I was at a family reunion on one of them. So I was out all day in Ireland, in Mayo.
Christ.
Yeah, not much internet there. There's not a lot of internet there. I'm with my grandma and the whole family. And I'm like, oh, I've just got to pop off and make a YouTube video quickly. So I sat in the back of a Vauxhall Corsa with my phone out, and I started talking about the cost of living in Thailand. I put it up and I put it up. Just no editing, no nothing. Channel's already got like 30,000 subscribers. And I'll just made a video just in the back of the car, on Canva on my phone in the car, just put some pictures together of me on a motorbike in Thailand with some neon writing. And then I just posted it. And that was part of the game of doing it every day. Yeah. And I did that into the ground into about 150 days. And then I was like, I've got to hire someone. I need someone doing thumbnails, someone doing editing. oh, this is nuts. I've got too many things to focus on.
Yeah,
Then we took a
100%.
step back and built a team, got good editors now. Still doing thumbnails myself though.
Really?
Yeah,
They're sick.
can't seem to let it go.
Some of them, like the ones from Thailand, are really, really good. Like,
Oh,
really
awesome.
good quality, man.
I'm glad to hear that. I like making the thumbnails, and well, there's an actually pretty good tip I got for thumbnails, which I haven't started using myself yet, but I heard recently. You shouldn't start from scratch with your thumbnails. You should find what's working for other people's channels. Like look at someone like Mr. Beast. He's the best to look at because he's mastered the YouTube game. Like he knows exactly how the analytics work. So he knows how to keep people engaged. So if you can follow how he actually, if you can fully break down his movies, so you can see how many times does his frames change at the start of a video, what's his hook, how does he hook people in, how many camera angle changes are there on the front end, and this is all perfectly made by Mr. Beast with music and pacing and editing. This is all manufactured to make a video blow up. So you can completely dissect what he does, and also his thumbnails, he is on the forefront of what is popping as a thumbnail right now. So he knows exactly what gets high click-through rates because he pays, I think, something like 10 grand a thumbnail because he has so many people making different thumbnails at the same time. So for every video, it's like 10 to 20 grand spent on one thumbnail. So you take a Mr. Beast thumbnail and you look at okay, how has he broken this down? It's a big picture of his face, what's in the background, what are the colors he's using, and then you just take out the bits of him and recreate it for yourself and your concept and your idea. And that's how you start making really good thumbnails without any experience at all because you're just copying the best in the business. And it's same for making content on YouTube.
Same for making a business, man.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You can never replicate someone 100%. Even if you look at it as a baseline and you adjust from there, you'll end up on a pretty fucking good point instead of just making up out of your head.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Beast videos get crazy views. So if you're copying the best person in the game, 100%. And then there's so much difference that this is only technical things. All the differences come in your personality, the type of content you make. You're not copying Mr. Beast.
You can't copy.
Yeah, you can't. It's not possible.
Fuck, man. I want to say a massive thank you, man. For everything,
Thank you.
This was a sick session. Nice and chill. Nice and relaxed.
I enjoyed it.
But we'll do more in the future as well. You know what I mean? There's 101 different verticals you can go.
We sure can, 100%. And thank you for traveling here to see me. I know you've been held up by customs and immigration and arrested twice just to get here.
The things you do.
The things you do to meet the CEO of Testosterone.
Thank you so much, brother.
Mate, thank you very much.
We'll do more in the future.
Legend.